This is another very different kind of topic. So today's topic is a thermochemistry. Okay. So by the name itself, you can understand what it represents: thermochemistry of combustion. Now, before going to the this thermochemistry concept, we will look to the what are the components we have in our gas turbine. Okay. So that way we can relate with the thermochemistry. Okay. Now, by the word, as I've said, thermochemistry is a relation between the energy and kind of chemicals. Okay, how the change in chemicals can generate or eliminate energy, and to give a detailed study either by means of measurements or by means of heat transfer. So first of all, as you all of you know, what are the basic components of an gas turbine engine. Okay. Now, when we start talking about the gas turbine, very basic components we have is a inlet. Okay. Now here they have mentioned inlet. Inlet sometimes is also denoted as a diffuser or intake. Intake or diffuser. Next, followed with an compressor. Compressor is also have lot many different types which are used in aerospace industries. One is a centrifugal compressor, another one is a axial compressor. Now when we talk about axial compressor, that means it will have some alternative of the rotors and stators. Okay, in axial we'll have the different kind of stages, multiple stages if you want to add, so you have to use the axial compressor. After compressor, followed with an combustion chamber, where in the compressor what happens, the air when it intakes through the diffuser, right, and follows move towards the compressor, right, it get the pressure get compressed. Okay, the pressure get compressed, and this pressurized air move towards the combustion chamber. Now do not get confused with the word which I have used here is a diffuser. There are some textbook where they use the gap between the combustion chamber and the compressor and the combustion chamber is also known as a diffuser. Okay, also known as a diffuser. So do not get confused with this diffuser. Okay, so here the compressed air enters into the combustion chamber. Now in the combustion chamber, what it happens, there is a injection of or the ejections of fuel and mixing of this compressed air. So here what happens, there is a huge amount of turbulency forms, so that the air and fuel get mixed well, and after it get well mixed, it just swell and leave out from the turbine. Okay, leave out from the turbine, and from the turbine they eject out from the nozzle. It can eject out from the nozzle, and the shape of the nozzle are kept in such a way that based on the flow, based on the what kind of flow we are using to expel the flow out. So if the Mach number is less, then obviously the expelling or the nozzle duct, if I talk about the nozzle duct, it has to be a converging type. It has to be a converging type, because once we make it convergent, right, then only the exit velocity will increase. That means we will increase the thrust. There will be lack of pressure loss. Okay, so yes, now here to understand how this process are occurring here, among all the stages, if I consider the intake, compressor, combustion chamber, then fourth one is turbine, and the fifth one let's consider as a nozzle. Now compressor is a place where we will have the highest peak of your pressure, and this pressure will be transformed in the combustion chamber. Now in case of ideal case, what happens, we consider that there will be no pressure loss. Whatever in the ideal case we consider, we always assume that there is no loss undertaken by that particular component or particular system. So in case of ideal conditions, there will be whatever amount of pressurized air has been compressed maximum at the limit, the same amount will be in the combustion chamber. Okay, same amount. Now considering the temperature point of view, now gradually what happens, the temperature will be maximum where always at the exit, always we can say it will be the maximum at the exit of the combustion chamber. Now this can be also termed in this way, either I can say the maximum temperature will occur at the exit of the combustion chamber, or I can say the inlet of the turbine. Okay, either when it is leaving from the combustion chamber or entering through the turbine. Alright, these are the peak place where the temperature will be maximum. I request all of you to mute yourself. Alright, now here, as we have said, the topic is thermochemistry. So where we are adding the chemicals, mixing it, and where the heat exchange occurs. So the combustion place is a place where the fuel and air getting mixed, and from where the chemical energy and that kind of transformation of heat has been done. So always remember, combustion is a place where heat is added into the system. Okay, heat is added, and turbine is which makes it to work or rotate the compressor blades. Okay, so always turbine have the positive work done and compressor have the negative work done. Alright, okay, so now we will begin with the main topic of this thermochemistry and how the heat flows. Okay, so there are of two ways or two types of heat flows. Okay, one is a endothermic process. Okay, the first one is there are two types. One is a endothermic process, second one is a exothermic process. Okay, now you must understand what is meant by endothermic and exothermic. Okay, now endothermic means where the energy transfer from surroundings to system. Already we have discussed the system and surrounding, you are well known with that. That means if this is any closed system, okay, this is a system and this is surrounding. Okay, whatever the surrounding, when the energy transfer from surrounding to the system, such kind of we will have the, if entering into the system, what will be the impact? Always we will have the positive heat transfer. Okay, that is what it explains. Okay, so when we have that undergoes an endothermic process. What is exothermic process? When the energy transfer from system to surrounding, it is a system energy transferring from system to surrounding. When it is moving or ejecting out, that means we will have the heat loss. We can also say the word called heat loss. So we can say when heat is added, we can say that process is an endothermic process. When heat leaves the process is an exothermic process. Now let's read the next point, the heat of reactants. Okay, the heat of reactants is positive. Now to understand that what is mean by heat of reactants, for an example, let's consider so how the combustion takes place. Obviously there is a mixture of air and fuel. The combustion, the heat addition in the combustion chamber takes place in the combustion chamber. Okay, how? Because of mixture of fuel and air. And when we are mixing the fuel and air, we get a burned gases. We no longer say that is an air, we say as gas, right? That means if whatever the amount of mass flow rate, okay, we always consider in terms of mass flow rate of air, okay, mass flow rate of air entering or getting sucked in this gas turbine. And here what is adding? You're adding the mass flow rate of fuel. So when it expels out, from the nozzle, what we get, that is total mass flow rate becomes of A plus m dot of F. Right? Now in that, can I say when the same phenomena happens in the combustion chamber, so when we are adding fuel and air, we will have the some amount of burned gas, maybe some amount of unburnt gas. So whenever we are reacting, we can get a product of CO2 or some kind of H2O. Okay, some amount of CO2 and some amount of H2O. Now if I have to combust methane CH4 with some kind of amount of oxygen, because we need an oxidizer to combust it, and whatever the value, we need to balance the system. If I have to balance the system, how I can? CH4 equals to twice of O2, then CO2, we have the C1 here 1 and 2. Okay, now this is balanced. Now in that balanced, what is happening? This one is whoever is adding, okay, adding is called as an reactants, and after reacting the fuel and the air, whatever after reacting, the remaining whatever we will get is called as a product. Okay, remaining whatever we'll get is a product. All right. So the here in this combustion chamber, the question can come in this way, that when the fuel and air is getting mixed and we lives with some kind of carbon dioxide and some kind of water, predict the reactants. So here the reactants are the whatever the aviation fuel is adding. Okay, aviation fuels are adding or the amount of pressurized air will be the reactants, and whatever expels out through the nozzle, okay, that will be the product. All right. Now here we have to see how much of heat of reactions. Okay, the heat of reactions, like each having its own enthalpy, each molecules or each how first after balancing that, we will come to know how much mole is required to burn this complete methane, right? So first we have to know that. So we need 2 moles of oxygen to burn a 1 mole of methane. Can I say in this way? So to make a complete burning process, how much heat of reactions will be provided in the atmosphere or will be absorbed in the atmosphere. Okay, and or I can bring out in a such a way that how much amount of temperature, whether it will be absorbed in the surrounding or increase in the surrounding. In case of endothermic reaction, now before going to the endothermic, let me know, is it clear to all of you the concept which I have said? Let me know in the chat box. Let me know in the chat box.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, what is the chemical formula of ATF, ma'am? Any idea about it, ma'am?
Sorry?
Chemical formula of ATF, air turbine fuel.
Air turbine fuel. What is a ATF? You are asking about air to fuel ratio.
No, I'm asking about the, like here we just discussed that CH4 is used, a methane. Instead of that, ATF will be used in aircraft. I'm just asking the chemical formula of that, that's all.
Okay. That I'm not sure about that chemical formula. But here what is mean by aviation fuel, that is a jet fuel. It is a part of kind of kerosene, aviation kerosene, right? So I'm not sure. Kerosene I know, but I'm not sure about aviation fuel, what will be the chemical compositions. Okay. If anybody know, they can discuss over here, right? If anybody have any idea about that, they can. Because I think there
only
are
then,
yeah.
only then we'll be able to calculate the amount of oxygen content for the
Yes,
complete
absolutely.
combustion process.
Yes. And that not only that, there are a lot many factors that it play an important role to get the products. Product means whatever the carbon dioxide or the nitrogen or whatever we consider. We will see that also. Okay, kerosene. I think if you just generally take the kerosene, I think it is in my notes I've mentioned kerosene formula is, yes, kerosene, jet fuel kerosene is, they have given as C8H18. Okay, they have taken as that, but I'm not sure. They have mentioned in Radhakrishna in V Ganeshan that is C8H18, but this may vary because jet aviation A is there, jet fuel A, B, A1, lot many types are there, right? But here the main thing is that how to find out the combustion factor, what is the exothermic process, endothermic process, how to understand the stoichiometric properties, how to understand how much amount of is required to burn the other fuel, how much amount of oxygen is required to burn. Okay, it is all kind of stoichiometrical calculations. Okay, here we will see only the stoichiometrical calculations, but in the exam you can be assured with that they won't give you that just a jet fuel and you have to find out what it is. Okay, they will give you the what is the equation of the jet fuel. If they're asking any jet fuel, they will give you the equation. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
All right. So here, just a minute. Okay. So as I've said that this side is a endothermic and this is the exothermic. Okay, this side is a exothermic. Just know the properties, how they are behaving. Okay, so as I've said, in the endothermic what happens, it is a heat is adding to the system, and in the exothermic heat is leaving the system, that is from the system to surrounding, it is there is a heat loss is undertaking in the process. Now one more factor you have to remember is that okay, the heat of reaction. Now what is heat of reaction? Heat of reaction is represented by the the amount of heat produced by the product and amount of heat or in terms of enthalpy produced by the reactant. Okay, there is a change in enthalpy or the heat with respect to the product and the reactant. So reactant means what is added. For an example, fuel and air is getting mixed, that is a reactant, and what is the outcome or the byproduct is the product. So del H equals to H of product minus H of reactant. Now in case of endothermic reactions, what happens? The heat of reaction is always positive. Okay, the heat of reaction is always positive. That means that if you see the graph between the reactant path, the graph between the reactant path and the enthalpy, if I have to draw, it will be a gradually it is increasing. Okay, gradually it is a positive, means it will be directly proportional with each other. From the reactants to the byproduct, it is increasing, and which value shows it is a yes. So
Ma'am, actually it is given to be less than 0, ma'am. The heat of reaction.
just
Hello?
a minute. Yes.
That's what, ma'am. If it is positive, it's given less
No,
than 0.
no, there is a typo error. Just please note out that there is a typo error. Okay, there is a typo error. Both the side there is a typo error. Okay, thank you for telling that there is a typo error.
Okay, ma'am.
It has to be positive. That means it is this. Okay, there is a typo error. Just a second. Yeah, it has to be positive. Okay, it is a positive value. So that means what I said, that del H means the heat of reactant is positive. That means the temperature in the surrounding, what will happen? The temperature in the surrounding will decrease because the heat is transmitted to the system. Okay, from the heat it is transmitting. So to bring the thermal equilibrium, the surrounding temperature will get decreased. Surrounding temperature will get decreased. Now looking into the same as an exothermic reaction, what is happening? From the reactant, it is the graph is falling. It shows that there will be a negative heat reactions. Okay, that means the temperature of the surrounding increases. Okay, because it is from the system, it is leaving to the system. The heat is transmitting or rejecting from the system. So the environmental surrounding will have more heat. Okay, now second point, based on the same configuration, we can also say that enthalpy of the product will be higher than the reactant, and in case of exothermic reaction, it is just a reverse of that. Okay, so here the product will be having less as compared with the reactant, because you can see the reactant at the top and gradually we can see the product. The product will be having less, reactant will be more. But here in case of endothermic reactions, the reactant will have the less and the product will have the more. Okay, so just remember the basic definitions of that. Okay, so due to this impact, we can also state one more phenomena, that heat added will be always greater than 0. That is a positive heat, and here having the less than 0, that means it is expelling negative. Alright. Okay. Now we will move to some kind of concept of the stoichiometric. Okay. Now, what is stoichiometric? Stoichiometric, the condition at which the fuel mixture of fuel and air both completely participate in the reactions. Now, here what is the reactant? Reactant is a CH4 plus 2O2 is the reactant. And what is the product? Product is the CO2 and plus H2O is the product. Now stoichiometric say that when there is a complete combustion, okay, complete combustion, when the fuel and air is getting mixed, that ideal mixture is called as a stoichiometric mixture. Now it can be also categorized in that what kind of mixture, whether the mixture is lean mixture or the or the rich mixture. Okay. Now how you define the lean mixture? You have to remember this terminology very well. Okay, what is meant by lean mixture and the rich mixture? Lean mixture means, as you can see, the quantity of oxidizer should be greater than the stoichiometric quantity. Okay, that means there will be a oxidizer means what do you mean by oxidizer? Excess amount of oxygen, okay, or excess amount of air. Okay, excess amount of air. When there will be the excess amount of air as compared with that ideal solution, right, that particular mixture is called as a lean mixture. Rich mixture we called is when the excess amount of compared with an oxidizer, quantity of oxidizer will be having the less than the stoichiometric quantities. Okay, stoichiometric quantities, then that time we have the rich mixture. Rich mixture when there will be an excess amount of fuel. When there will be having the excess amount of fuel, that time we call as a rich mixture. When we'll have the excess amount of air, we call as a lean mixture. Alright, so you have to understand this terminologies. Moving the next, we have the stoichiometric ratios. That is a very important. There is a high chance to get confused with the stoichiometric ratio and the equivalence ratio. Now in some book they have the different kind of notations. Okay, so here I have represent the stoichiometric ratio as a lambda and the equivalence ratio as phi. Okay, now let's see what is the stoichiometric ratio. You have to remember the formula, as I've said. It is very important. Now before starting, let me tell you the relation between the stoichiometric ratio and the equivalence is just and reciprocal with each other. They have just a relation with a reciprocal with each other. Okay, they have the reciprocal with each other. Now what is lambda? Lambda means stoichiometric ratio is a ratio between the actual air by the stoichiometric air. Actual air by the stoichiometric air. And what this can be also written as in this way, that air fuel mixture, okay, air fuel mixture divided by the air fuel mixture of the stoichiometric. This is the actual and this is the stoichiometric. Then if I have to say that this is a reciprocal with each other, then what I can say, equivalence ratio, that is phi, can also written as F by A, that is a fuel to air by the fuel to air of stoichiometric. Okay. Now the point comes that how do you remember this such a complicated formula? There is a quite confusing thing, that how do you remember that? How do you remember that? Do you have any clue that you can remember? Because sometimes it's really confusing to remember this formula, and especially during exam there's a high chance that you might get confused, you know. So how do you remember? Anybody having any clue to remember? Anyone? So let me
Ma'am, we just have to remember lambda because pi is the inverse of lambda, so we don't have to remember all the two formulas.
yes, that's good. Now how do we remember that it is a fuel to air ratio or a fuel air to fuel ratio? That might be a confusing. So I remember as such a way that now I know the stoichiometric ratio is in terms of lambda. Okay, it looks something like kind of, if I see it is looks something like kind of a. So I know it is a ratio between both having actual by the ideal. Let me consider it is stoichiometric, means it is which is ideal. Okay, there is no way to ignore that. Now all we have looks like a, that means I have to start that a by f is actual, then a by f of stoichiometric or s. I hope you can, by this way if you remember, there is a huge chance that you can avoid the mistake. But if you memorize by heart and something, at some point there is a huge chance that you can forget it. Okay, now formula is same, always we have the actual by the ideal one. Here we have the actual by ideal, here also we have the actual by ideal, but the fact is here we have only the air, here we have the fuel to air ratios, right? So this is a way, I hope you can remember that, and you can remember till the exam, and not only till the exam, till your lifelong you can never forget what is the ratio between the stoichiometric, because you know the stoichiometric represent by lambda. Lambda looks something like a, and it will start with actual. Okay, actual by ideal, then it is a ratio of the airs. So which one will be fuel or air? Yes, it is all was a, that means it will start with air to fuel by 2f of ideal means stoichiometric. Do you feel it is comfortable to remember in this way, or it is getting more complicated? Let me know in the chat box, or you can unmute and say that.
Yes, ma'am, it's okay.
Okay. Alright. So we have just come to stoichiometric and equivalence. Now we will see. Okay. So once you practice, you don't have to remember so hard. It will become in your fingertips. Next will be the relation between the stoichiometric and the equivalence in terms of whether the flow is rich, stoichiometric, or the lean. Okay. Now, yes. Now this is a very important that you can see one kind of tabular column I have framed over there, and that is a very important thing to remember. Okay, so do please remember that. Okay, that is lambda equals to 1 by 5. Now here already I know this lambda and the phi, that is a stoichiometric, and the equivalence are the reciprocal with each other. Now let's see what happens if the stoichiometric ratio is less than 1. If the stoichiometric ratio is less than 1, we have the rich mixture. What is meant by rich mixture? That means that there is excess of fuel. Excess of fuel. Okay, rich mixture means the excess of fuel. Okay, but on the same time, when we'll get the excess of fuel, when we will have phi is less than greater than 1, when the phi is having greater than 1. Stoichiometric means both the cases will be same, that is a completely ideal case, both the actual and the ideal condition is same. Then lean mixture means when we'll have the excess of air. Excess of air. When we'll have the excess of air? When the lambda, that is a stoichiometric ratio, is greater than 1 and equivalence ratio is less than 1. So you do have to remember this part. Now if you have, they might ask you in such a way that now they will give you some of the relations and something, and they might ask you to predict which one of the relation is not capable of conducting the combustion, right? So even there is a excess air, the combustion might undertake because there may be some kind of unburnt gases. But if there is a lack of air, if the oxidizer is not there, okay, if you have a reach in fuel content, then you cannot undertake the combustion. That means if in that conditions you cannot undertake the condition. That means the when you have the excess fuel, whatever might be the condition, either of this category, okay, the combustion will be incomplete. The combustion will be incomplete. Okay. Now there are some numerical forms that how you can find out the amount of excess air, then what will be the ideal air to fuel ratios and all. So this is a formula. I request all of you to note down because we will do some of the problems based on that. So air excess, okay, it can be written as N equals to actual air minus stoichiometric air by the stoichiometric air. Okay, so sometimes they also denote in this way that actual by theoretical by theoretical. In some textbook you can also find such kind of definition, and both are correct. Okay, both are correct. So this can be also written as, because actual air by stoichiometric air is your stoichiometric ratio, that is lambda, and minus 1 into 1000. Okay, remember this formula. Next formula we have the air to fuel ratio. How to find the air to fuel ratios? Now this is one of the formula, that is the mass of air divided by mass of fuel, or the number of moles of air into the molecular weight of air by number of fuels into molecular weight of the fuel. Now we will look into that formulas, that how to solve or how to calculate the ways to calculate the air and fuel ratios. Okay, the air and fuel ratios. So let me know till then, is it clear to all of you with the rich fuel and the excess air? Let me know in the chat box.
Ma'am, will you please explain it one more time that why is it so in rich mixture? It's incomplete combustion.
Incomplete. See, whenever we need to combust, okay, what we need to mix the air and fuel. Okay, and whenever we are mixing in air breathing engine, let's consider here we are only talking about air breathing engine. We need a large amount of oxidizer to burn the fuel, right? The amount of air should be more as compared with the fuel, right? So if the air is more and the fuel is small, then also we can do the conversions. But if the air is not sufficient, okay, and you have the some quantity or the excess amount of fuel, then you cannot combust any product. Okay, and it cannot undertake the combustion process. So that's why, that means that excess of fuel will leads to an incomplete combustion. All right. Okay, now let me move to the next. Are you seeing the letters in a double way?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me erase that. Okay. All right. If it is, the question was CH4 plus O2 C2 plus H2O. Okay, so whenever the fuel, this is a fuel, right? This is the oxidizer, and combination of this is called as a reactant, and combination of this is called as a product. Okay, now here in this question, let's find out that what is the amount of fuel and air will be there. Okay, amount of fuel and air. Okay, and how to find out. Now first step, always when they give some kind of equations, you need to balance the equation. Now how to balance? It's quite simple. Here we have the C1CH4 plus O2, CO2 plus H2O. Now here we have 4H, here have 2. So if I'm applying 2 over here, it's getting 2, 2, 4. That means I have to apply over here. Now is it balanced? That means CH4 plus 2O2 will give CO2 plus 2H2O. Now after it get balanced, you have to find the amount of mass, okay, amount of mass of fuel, because our requirement is to find out air to fuel ratio. Okay, that means how to find air to fuel ratio? Mass of air by mass of fuel. Now this is how to find the mass of fuel. What is fuel? CH4. To find out the mass, first we have to find out how much amount of mole. Can I say here in this equation, one mole of CH4. Now to find out the 1, because here we don't have anything, so can I consider 1 mole of CH4 will give some amount of grams. Now how to find out how much amount of grams or molecular grams per molecular weight? We can find in this way, CH4. Now what is a molecular weight of C? You have to remember the molecular weights. For C it is 12, oxygen it is 16, H it is 1. Okay,
It's atomic weight.
yes, atomic weight. And what is a molecular mass? How can become? That means when we consider the how we can differentiate the atomic weight. What is the difference between atomic weight and molecular mass?
In a molecule, many atoms will be there. The sum together of all the mass put together is
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
exactly.
Consider with single atom.
Yes. Now,
the weight of all the atoms put together is molecular weight.
yes. So here what I'm going to these are the individual atomic weight. C is atom, O, H atom, and when I compile, this is we have the one kind of molecule we have. So when we add on together, how I am going to add? C we have only 1, so 12. We have 4 hydrogen. So when we combine 4 plus 12, we get 16, right? So when we have 16, that is, it is a molecular mass. Molecular mass has been converted in terms of grams. Okay, so I think you have studied these are all things in chemistry. So same principle we will add over here. We have got the molecular mass of fuel. Similar way, we have to find out the molecular mass of air. Now to find out the molecular mass in the atmosphere, you know, we have 79% of nitrogen and 21% of oxygen. Okay. Now here in this thing they have given oxygen. Now from that we are going to find that how much amount of molecular mass is present. Now first let's find what is the amount of mole for 2 oxygen. Okay, 2 moles of oxygen. Now to find the oxygen, 2 moles of oxygen, I can write 2 into 16. I will get please calculate and tell me. 16, 32, 64. Are you getting 64?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Then 2 moles of oxygen will give 64 grams. Okay. But here it is oxygen, not the air. So I need to find in terms of air. So can I say from here that 21 grams of, that means total 100% is our air. So from that, if 100% of air, that means 1 gram of oxygen, okay, 1 gram of oxygen will give 100 grams of air, 100 grams of air. Then if 1 gram I have to find, okay, then 100 by 21. Then for 64 grams, because here we require is 64, then we can get 100 by 21 into 64. Please solve and tell me what you are getting. Please calculate and tell me the answer, what you are getting.
.7.
Okay, 304.7 gram of air. That means now I got my mass of air. Okay, that means this is my mass of air. Mass of air is 304.7 grams of air, and here I got my for the fuel. Now our requirement is to find out air to fuel ratios, that is 304.7 divided by, you need to find out fuel was 16, right, divided by 16. So whatever the ratio will you get, that will be the air fuel ratios. Now find out and tell me what is the value you are getting.
Uh,
19.04.
Okay, so you're getting 19.04 is to 1 is the air to fuel ratio. Alright, now from here they can ask another different kind of questions. Okay, that they can ask how much of mass of carbon is present in this CH4. Okay, they can ask a individual mass. So in that case, how to find out, okay, how to find the mass. Let me change the color. that means percentage of mass of carbon in CH4. Now to find out the mass of carbon in CH4, then you have to first write down the what is the molecular weight with the total molecular weight into 100 to get the percentage of carbon. Now here how many carbons are there? We have only one atom is there. That means 1 into 12 divided by CH4 means 12 plus 4. 4 into 1 will get 4 into 100.
75%.
That means 75 percentage of carbon mass is present in this system. Okay. Now you can let's move to the next problem. Similar kind of problems we'll see. Yes. Now let me erase all. Just give me a moment. Okay, now if they ask, okay, same equation, let's consider the same equation. Okay, let's consider the same basic equation. Okay, what was the equation we had? CH4 plus O2, 2O2 giving the CO2 plus 2H2O. Now if they ask that how many amounts of water will produce, okay, how many grams of water will produce by 2.6 moles of CH4. Okay, 2.60 moles of CH4. That means, can I say over here that this is a balanced equation which I have shown here. After balancing, can I say 1 mole of CH4 will give 2 moles of water? In this question, if I can also say that 1 mole of CH4 will give 1 mole of CO2. Now in this statement we can also say 2 mole of oxygen requires to burn 1 mole of CH4. Okay, to burn. Okay, so we can give all the statements from this equation. Now here what they have asked, that how much amount of mole will be that they have said 2.6 mole of CH4, then how much amount of grams of water will be there. Okay, now do you have any idea how to find out this? Do you have any idea that how to solve this or how to do this? So whenever they ask any number of moles, remember the number of moles means the mass provided or the given by the molar mass or the molecular mass of that particular thing. Okay, this is one of the important formula. Suppose for an example, here they have given the moles here. They have given the moles. Okay, you know how much amount of molecular mass of CH4. Then you can find from here that how much of mass will be produced by this CH4. Can you can find that? Can you? Could you able to understand that what I'm telling?
Mom, can you repeat the last statement? I already understand.
Okay. All right. Now this is a formula. I said number of moles equals to mass given by the molar mass. Okay. Now in this given question they have said that 2.60 moles of CH4. That means number of moles is given 2.60. Okay. Now the molar mass. Molar mass you can find how? It is 12 plus 4. You got your molar mass. Then can you find out what will be the expected mass in terms of grams? You can obviously find out. How? You can just 16 into 2.60 will give you the mass of your CH4. Now did you get it?
41 something or 41.6.
Huh. Okay, 41.6.
6.
Okay. Now here the question is how many grams of H2O will produce by 2.60 moles. That means 41 grams is there. That means to burn this to find out that. Now how to find out this H2O? Any idea? How do you find? Very simple. Okay, do not get too confused. Okay, so this is just one of the idea I'm given to find out that. Okay. Okay. Now here we know. Okay, here we know that it says in this statement 1 mole equals to provide 2 moles of hydrogen. Okay, 2 moles of hydrogen. That means if I have to find 2.60 moles of CH4, then I will simply multiply 2.60 into
It's
2
5.2, ma'am.
moles by, right? You will get around
Yes, ma'am.
5.2.
Yes, ma'am. 5.2.
5.2.
2 moles. Now they have asked in terms of grams. Okay, they have asked in terms of grams. So 5.2 into the molecular weight of water. Okay, molecular weight of water. If you multiply, what is the molecular weight of water? H2O. That is 2 into
18.
1 plus 16. You are getting 18 into 5.2 into 18 will give you how much?
93.6.
93.6. That is
6.
yes, 93.6 grams of H2O. Okay, so did you get it? Now like this we will solve some more couple of problems. Okay, so in this, let me erase these equations. So here we have one kind of butane formula, butane. So the formula is C4H10 plus O2 CO2 plus H2O. Okay. Now this is the equation has been given. From this equation what you have to find that how many molecules of C2O are formed for each moles. The first question is, okay, how many moles of C2O are formed for each 1 mole of C4H10. The first and foremost what you have to do is, in such kind of equation you have to equate it. Now see here, carbon we have 4, then directly you apply, put here 4 first and try to balance the equation. See here we have C, 4 become, then H, how many we have? We have 10. So can I write here 5? Let me write 5. Now we have to balance the O2. Now O2 we have here is excess. How much? Here we have 8, 5. 8 plus 5 we are getting 13, right? And here we have only 2. Now how you can balance? How you can balance here?
We can go for 7, mom.
7, 7,
7, so 14, mom.
14, and here whether we are
13 by
satisfied?
2.
So
How we can
13,
get
and then here
17?
14.
We can
we
get,
can just put 6, mom. 6H2O. 6H2O we can put, mom.
we cannot balance na. We can go as
13 by 2.
13 by 2. Now instead of putting 13 by 2, can I write in this way?
C4H10.
Can I multiply
Fine.
with complete? I can say 2, here 13, here I have taken 8, and here
8.
I can take this 10, 20, 10. Right? Can I take in this way? Alright. Now in the
Yes,
first,
ma'am.
in the first question what they have asked, how many molecules of C2O are formed for each moles of C4H10. Now here I can see that 2 moles of C4H10 will give 8 moles of CO2. But here they have asked, but here in this question they have asked for each mole. That means for 1 mole, for 1 mole of C4, for C4H10, can I say 8 by 2? We will get, that is 4 mole of CO2. Can I say that? Can I say? Alright. Now this is one of the
Yes,
thing.
ma'am.
Next question is that this is the equation they have given. They have said if there is 5.8 grams of C4H10, how much amount of O2 is required to burn the fuel? Okay, how much amount of O2 is required to burn the fuel? They have given that 5.8 grams of C4H10. Okay. Now from here what you have to find? The amount of oxygen required to burn. How do you solve this? In terms of, here also in terms of gram you have to find how much amount of oxygen you have to find.
We can just find it for 1 gram initially, and then we can
Yes.
just multiply it.
1 gram?
Yeah, for 1 gram of C4H10, how much amount of oxygen is required?
Okay. Now first you have to see the relation between whatever they're asking. You have to see the relation with the fuel. Now here we have 2 C4H10. That means 2 moles of C4H10 will give 13 moles of oxygen. Agree? Fine. Now if I have to consider 1 mole, that means it will give C4H10 will give 13 by 2 moles of O2. Now how many number of moles we need? how many number of moles? Now as I've said, number of moles equals to mass given by the molecular mass. Okay, molecular mass. Now here the mass is also given, that is they have given as 5.8. Now to find out the molecular mass, let's find out. 4 into 12 plus 10, we get 48 plus 10, 58. Now 5.8 by 58, you will get
Point
0.1 mole. That means for, then if I have to find for 0.1 mole of C4H10, 13 by 2 into 0.1 will give 0.65. Am I 0.65 mole of
Yes.
O2. So I got how much amount of mole will I get. Now from here, this mole I need to find in terms of gram. Suppose they are asking in mole, you keep it as it is, this is the answer. But if they are asking in terms of grams, that means again, now you know the mole, again use the same formula. Number of moles is known, that is 0.65 is known. The gram of the mass you need to find out. Now O2 means 16 into 2, you get the mass of oxygen required to burn is 0.65 into O2, into 32. Tell me the answer.
20.8.
20.8 grams. So 20.8 grams are required to burn the gas. Are you getting? Could you able to follow that? All of you,
Yes, ma'am.
please let me know. Could you able to follow that or not? All right. So moving the next. So you can expect such kind of problems that they can ask. So please, this is another problem. Okay, this is another different kind of problem. From here, what you have to find is what will be the,
Excuse me, ma'am.
yes,
Actually, the question is blur, ma'am. It's not properly visible.
okay,
It's
okay,
been
okay.
overlapped.
Okay, I will write a question. All right. So from here, what you have to find is C6H12O6 plus O2 CO2 plus H2O. Okay. From here, you have to find that what is the mass of oxygen in grams. Okay. What is the, like as you have done before, mass of oxygen is required to burn C6H12O6 of 25 grams. That means how much amount of O2 is required to burn when this C6H12O6 weighs around 25 grams. Okay. This is the first phase of the question. Okay. Next phase of the question is how much amount of product is produced. Okay. How much amount of product is produced? So first find the first one. So first tell me, how do you balance it? Here we have 6. Let me first put 6 here.
17.39.
What is the answer?
17.39.
It in grams?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you found? I'm getting a different answer.
Ma'am, let me check.
Yeah. So I can say 1 mole of C6H12O6 provides, here we are talking with oxygen, that is 6 mole of oxygen. Okay. Now here they have given in that means number of moles means they have given 25 divided by the molecular weight. What is the molecular weight? You will get 6 into 12. Here.
26.6.
Yes. Okay. So that means whatever the amount of this you are getting, that is in mole of C6H12O6 will provide you
0.138 moles.
which one? Here
I'm getting the answer, ma'am.
0.138. Okay.
0.138 moles.
Okay, of moles. Then how much amount of it is producing? 6 into 25, that is 0.138 into 32. When we resolve that, you get the answer something around 26 point something, 26.6 grams. Okay. Now the question is how much amount of product is produced. Okay. Now you know this equation is balanced. Here this is a reactant and this is the product. So to find out the product, okay, just add. Here they have given it is 25 grams plus 26.6 grams. So when you solve 51.6 grams, that is the amount of product is produced. Got it?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, we need to speak about the products now, ma'am. The second
Yes.
question is.
Yeah. But here,
But actually, here is the reactants, ma'am.
but the reactant is equivalent to product, right? We have balanced the equation. So this is a stoichiometric equation, ideal conditions. This is a theoretical one, right?
Okay. Sure, ma'am.
Now similar kind of problems I have shared, right? Now there will be slight changes how to find if there is a nitrogen is added with it. Okay, when the nitrogen is added, you will get the byproduct also CO2, water and nitrogen. Okay, so this is another some kind of simplified thing I have shown in the notes. Okay, please go through them. So one more problem I would like to discuss with you. Okay, this is also same problem. this is something different problem. Okay, so they have given the equation like C3H8 plus O2 CO2 plus H2O. Now sometimes there are two ways to ask the questions, okay, in this kind of question. One is they will give you A, B, C and D, and they will ask what is A, B, C, D. Now how you can find this A, B, C, D? You can find using the balancing the equation. Okay, so if you balance the equation, you will get C3H8 plus 5O2 3O2. Is it balanced? 10, 4.
Yes, ma'am.
It is balanced.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now that means what is A? A is 1, B is 5, C is 3, D is 4. Now from this they have asked to calculate the theoretical. Okay. First they have given this equation. In this equation, what they have stated that 30 grams, okay, 30 grams of C3H8 burns in a air to produce 70 grams of CO2. Okay, when the 30 grams of C3H8 burns in the air, whatever amount of air, it will give 70 grams of CO2. Okay, now from here we need to find out the what is the percentage of yield of CO2. Okay, percentage of yield in CO2. Now in this kind of problem, how to solve? First of all, remember the formula, note down the formula. Percentage of yield equals to actual by theoretical into terms of percentage. So whatever they are asking yields, so that particular value you have to find of the actual and the theoretical. Now here in this question they have given the actual value, and using this balanced equation we have to find the theoretical one. Now after solving you will get the percentage of yield. Okay, now okay, now what you have to find, they have given in terms of grams. That means this much amount of C3H8 you have to find or correlate in terms of CO2. So from this equation, can I say 1 mole of C3H8 will give 3 mole of CO2, right? Now what is the number of moles if we have 30 grams? That is 30 divided by
Ma'am, it is
C3H8.
0.6812. 0.6818.
0.68
682, ma'am. 2 simply.
2. Okay, you are getting 44 here, right? Okay, this much
Yes, ma'am.
amount of mole of C3H8 will give
2.04.
that is, can I multiply that directly with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
2.045.
2.04.
You are getting around directly 2.04.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you getting 2.04?
Yes, ma'am. It is 2.046 moles, ma'am.
What is the total answer you are getting? Are you telling the total answer?
No, ma'am. It's actually like 0.682
Total
moles
answer is
of CH8.
88.88. 88.88. Total answer.
Okay.
2.04 moles, ma'am.
Okay. That
Of
means
CO2.
Yes, whatever getting, that means 1 mole of CO2 is, you're having the 44 grams. Then again, so you're going to make, so totally you will get, so you're getting around 88 grams, right? You're getting 88 grams. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that is a theoretical value. The whatever the value you are getting, it is a theoretical value. So percentage of yield will becomes 70 by 88 into 100. So tell me that the percentage.
$87.5, ma'am.
80.
79.
70.
There is a huge
Ma'am,
difference.
87.5, ma'am.
79.
Yes, ma'am. It's 79.54, ma'am.
See that. See, if you do a small mistake, now the entire answer will be different. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So tell me the right answer.
79.54.
79.54, ma'am.
Okay. So this is the answer. So every year they are asking. It is not mandatory that they are asking every year, but whenever they are asking such kind of questions. Okay, either to find out the moles or to predict which one is a rich mixture, lean mixture, and to identify the stoichiometric ratios. Now once they will give the stoichiometric factor, you can find out the air and fuel ratio from here. Now after finding the air and fuel ratio, you can find out the equivalence or the stoichiometric factor. Okay, alright. So this is a very small topic, but though we have taken around most time, like near about 1 hour. Okay, so next topic we will move for the next class. Okay, we are not studying a new topic, so I request all of you to do one thing. Next class when you're coming, just have a look on the aerothermodynamics of aircraft engines. Okay, what are the type of engines, what at what speed, which engine are preferred, which engine has having the advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so just have a glance about the type of engine, like turboprop, turbofan, turbojet, ramjet, scramjet. Just have a overview look on that and come in the next class. Okay, so if I try to explain about more in it, it will take more time. Okay, so instead I will just go for the main points, key points, that is a performance parameter. Then I will move for the what are the efficiency of the turbines, like we had diffuser, compressor, turbine, nozzle, and here definitely I will explain you the derivation of that, because each and every derivation part have its own expression, have its own concept. So here I will not full derivation, I will just derive from one equation how you can jump to the another equations. Okay, alright. So here I can end the session. So if you have any questions, then please let me know.